Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being out there. Wow. Tariffs. Man, you never see so many liberals out on the ledge of intellectual immaturity in my life. I mean, it's absolute kookville, the way these people are reacting to the tariffs. And I'm grateful to you because right here, you become the most intellectually mature audience in all of podcast land, because here you get the truth. And today, the truth about tariffs. Coming to you, ladies and gentlemen, from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain, as I always do. Thank you very much again. DougBillings.us. Don't forget, the most important thing I can tell you is to share this program and head over to DougBillings.us and prayerfully consider supporting the show. Set up that $5 a month recurring donation so that we can continue to bring you this program. I never charge you for this program, but I do depend on your kind contributions over at DougBillings.us to help produce the show and bring it to you free of charge every single day. So you've heard all of the whining, I'm sure, right? Tariffs are reckless. Tariffs are going to tank the economy. Tariffs are anti-consumer. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to start a trade war. It's the same old playbook. Scare tactics and globalist garbage. They want you to be afraid, ladies and gentlemen, because when you're afraid, liberals believe that you become more apt to depend upon big government. But here's the reality. Trump's tariffs are a masterstroke. They're about putting America first, about bringing jobs back. And they're about forcing the world, quite frankly, to play by our rules. That's what it's all about. Hello, Deacon Jody. What's going on? How are you? Thanks. It's good to see you out there in YouTube land. Thank you, Deacon Jody, for being out there. I think that what we're going to do is take a look today at the tariffs. The reason why many of you on the right side know some of this, but you might not and probably not have heard this in these kinds of words and in this language. It's a very simple deal. It's not complicated. And the radical left, because of Trump derangement syndrome, because of intellectual immaturity, and because of blind partisanship, doesn't see it the way that we see it. But I want you to know that right now, the right side with Doug Billings is upon you. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to go.
Hey everybody,
Let's
my
go.
name is
Let's get
General
into
Mike
this.
Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right side with Doug Billings, right side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning. Welcome to the Right Side with Doug Billings.
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and His divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
All right, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so today, tariffs. We're going to walk the radical liberal mob off the ledge because that's what I do. If anything, I'm here to help, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to help the liberals come into the room of reality, to see the truth, to understand the truth. And this is a topic that is not that difficult to understand. It's not that difficult to see why President Trump is invoking the tariffs against a world that has been non-reciprocal in their approach to how they deal with us. And so America is no longer the proverbial doormat, if you will. So the truth, really, about these tariffs is that they are not at all the evil, destructive economic force that the radical left is telling you that they are. So tariffs hurt American consumers. This is what the radical left wants you to believe. You've heard it from the talking heads on CNN. You've heard it from the ivory tower economists that say, oh, tariffs are going to raise our prices. The little guy is going to have to pay more when he goes to the store and buy a toaster. I mean, that's what they want. They want to scare you. Fear, it's the driving motivator behind all of their policies, platforms, and politics. Look at what we experienced during the Biden years. Every one of their policies, chaos, crime, and crisis. That's what they want. And it begs the question, why? Because they want you to become dependent upon big government, therefore, and thereby becoming dependent upon them and their liberal agenda. Everything they say is scary, but it's also BS. When Trump slapped tariffs, let's take a little trip back in time and remember this. When he slapped tariffs on steel and aluminum back in 2018, there was a 25% tariff on steel and 10% on aluminum. Do you remember your grocery bill skyrocketing back then? I'll tell you, you don't, because it didn't. Did Walmart shut down? No. Now, prices ticked up a bit, 1% on some items, not everything, but 1% on some things. That was according to the Tax Foundation. But the sky, ladies and gentlemen, did not fall upon us. Why is that? Because as it turns out, American companies are brilliant and they can adapt. They found new suppliers. They ramped up their own domestic production. And guess what happened then, my friends? Jobs came back. Steel jobs alone, back in those days, jumped by thousands. And these are real jobs, folks. These are not the head fry cook jobs at McDonald's. We're talking real, substantial, make-a-living jobs. The left ignores this because it goes against their sob story. And here's the kicker. The tariffs didn't just protect jobs. They sent a message around the world. China, Canada, the European Union, they all screamed bloody murder when it was going on and when it first happened. But you know what they did? They came to the table. Take Canada, for example. You remember one of the poster men for the wussification of men, Justin Trudeau? The wussification of men across the planet. He's one of their poster boys. They're really. He threw a fit over the steel tariffs back in 2019. But you know what else he did? He was soon at the table negotiating what's called the USMCA, which replaced NAFTA. That deal right there cut trade deficits and boosted American manufacturing more so than in any other time in modern history. Liberals will tell you, another one of their mantras is, tariffs isolate us, Doug. They're going to isolate us. We don't want to be alone. We want to play with the rest of the world. Wrong. They don't isolate us, ladies and gentlemen. They simply make us the shot caller. We are able to call the shots. When you've got the biggest economy in the world, ladies and gentlemen, $28 trillion gross domestic product, that's of 2025, and you flex that kind of muscle, other nations don't walk away from you. They make deals with you. Okay, so now here's another liberal whopper that's out there. Tariffs are going to kill free trade. I can't even get through that without laughing. Free trade? Please. What we had before Trump came along was a one-way street, them walking all over us. China dumped cheap stuff, junk in our country. Mexico was siphoning our jobs. America was paying for it all. The U.S. trade deficit hit $859 billion in 2022, and that was before Trump's policies started to bite. His tariffs, now remember, think 10 to 25% on Chinese goods, forced a rethink in China. By 2020, China's exports to the United States dropped 16%. And we started making stuff here in America again. Free trade is great. Don't get me wrong. Free trade is awesome when it's fair trade. But when you're bleeding jobs to countries that cheat by subsidizing their own industries, stealing our technology, tariffs are a wake-up call. And Trump got that right. Anyone, folks, anyone with any shred of intellectual maturity gets this. They understand it. The left doesn't. Or if they do, they purposefully misguide you just to further their own partisan agenda. And don't let them fool you with this global harmony. Doug, we've got to get along. We have to get along with the rest of the people, the rest of the countries on this planet. Really? These are the same people who are Molotov cocktailing Tesla dealerships across the country. These are the same people who cheered on Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris when they ended the Keystone XL pipeline and handed energy dominance back over to OPEC. Trump's tariffs, my friends, are not about starting fights. They're about winning. Anyone who denies this, anyone who's against this, is either, again, intellectually immature, a blind partisan, or simply anti-American. Those are the only three options that are out there. Otherwise, you're on board. You get it. You understand it. Pro-America. We want to win. And when America wins, the rest of the world wins, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the numbers. U.S. manufacturing added 400,000 jobs from 2017 to 2019, pre-COVID, thanks to President Trump's tariff policies. Now, liberals will cherry pick the downsides. Higher cost on some imports, 1%, right? But they always ignore the upside, which is this. American workers are clocking in to work. Factories are humming again and coming back to the United States. Communities are thriving. That's not a loss, folks. That's called a comeback. So why are tariffs a good idea? It's a simple answer. They put America first in a world that's been taking advantage of us for decades. I'll break it down for you. Make sure you share this with your liberal friends. They need our help. Number one, jobs. When you tariff foreign steel for washing machines like Trump did with South Korea in 2018, you make it cheaper to buy American products. Whirlpool it added 200 jobs in Ohio at a factory just because of the tariffs. Number two is leverage. We've got it. Tariffs are a negotiating hammer. I used to do this for a living when I was in corporate America. I negotiated collective bargaining agreements against unions on behalf of corporations, and we use things like this for leverage. China has been ripping us off to the tune of $300 billion in IP theft. Ladies and gentlemen, that is absolutely crazy that we don't do anything about that. Trump's 25% tariff on their goods in 2019, what did that do? Well, it got Xi Jinping up at night, sleepless, to rethink his tariff strategy against the United States. They started buying more United States soy, more United States pork. $50 billion were signed by China by 2020 precisely because of the tariffs put in place by President Trump. Now, I'm in Kansas. Right there, $50 billion in agricultural deals signed. That's winning for Kansas. That's winning for farmers everywhere. And the third, so we've got jobs, leverage, and now the third one is national security. You think it's smart, ladies and gentlemen? You think it's smart to rely on China for steel or computer chips or rare earth materials, minerals? I don't. Tariffs force us to rebuild what we've lost. I mean, again, look at aluminum. It's an easy example. Our production was dying down to 70,000 tons by 2017. 70,000 tons a year by 2017. Trump comes along, enacts some tariffs, and it kicked back up to 1.1 million tons by 2020. That's not just economics, my friends. That is strength. Liberals call it protectionism. Really? Protectionism? I call it survival. We've got to do this. And they always bring up the global market. So let's talk about the global market. Liberals will tell you that tariffs shrink our influence. Wrong again. They make us the kingmaker, ladies and gentlemen. When Trump hit the European Union with tariffs, they didn't boycott us. They bought more American products, up to 300% more from 2016 to 2020. Why is that? Because we're the market everybody wants. We have $20 trillion in consumer spending power. Friends, tariffs will tell other countries, you want in? You want to play with us? All right, you got to play fair. That's all. That's all this is. And tariffs do that. Japan, they cut tariffs on U.S. beef after Trump threatened auto tariffs on them. And exports doubled by 2021 for us. Folks, this isn't losing. This is called dominating. In a world where radical liberalism says we shouldn't be dominant, we should be wussified, i.e. Tim Walz, Justin Trudeau, the poster men of wussification, you know. It's not losing, it's dominating. And we're back. America's back. That's American exceptionalism. It's not ego. It's not braggadocious. It's the truth. We have the largest economy. When our economy thrives, every one of these countries benefit. Rising tide lifts all ships, right? Here's why the left really trips over itself and gets all tied up in knots, because they claim that tariffs are going to start, I wish I could play the Star Wars theme, trade wars. That's what they say. It's trade wars, ladies and gentlemen, and Trump is Darth Vader. Really? Where is the war? Where is it? Because China has blinked. They've cut some of their own tariffs. They're going to cut more. The European Union, they grumbled a bit, but they're right now signing deals. Canada, Mexico, they didn't come and invade us. They joined USMCA after NAFTA was renegotiated. Or dumped, I should say. Folks, tariffs do not burn bridges between countries. Tariffs don't. They don't burn relationships. What tariffs do is that they build negotiating tables. Trump knows that other nations need us more than we need them. Our GDP doubles China per capita, and it triples the European Union's average. We hold all the cards. Tariffs just remind other countries of that. All right, so let me take a minute and wrap up, because this is important. The next time you're at your cocktail party and a radical liberal confronts you about tariffs, you're now, because of this show, fully armed with the facts. The liberal critique of President Trump's tariffs is a house of cards, and it's built on fear, not facts. Prices don't soar. Trade doesn't collapse. We're not at war, and America's not going to lose. What will happen is that jobs are going to come back. The nations who are grumbling are going to negotiate, and we're starting to win again. Tariffs are not perfect. Sure, some rare things and prices will go up, but the trade-off is sovereignty. The trade-off is security and a stronger middle class. The left wants us begging at the globalist trough for scraps, and President Trump is saying, no. America first, please, and thank you. So that's why I'm proud to stand on the right side of all of this and be with you. See what I did there? This is what it's all about, having the guts to tell people what we're doing here, that America is no longer a doormat. You don't hear anybody else talking about this in these terms, because here on this program is where you get the unfettered truth, the analysis of the state of play in America. Today, tariffs. They bring other nations to the table. They put our workers, our farmers, our families first. It puts America first. And that's the Trump way. It also, ironically, happens to be the American way. So next time some blue check collared professor or some liberal kook Democrat member of the elected class cries out about tariffs, you can tell them this. Doug Billings said, check the scorecard, because America is winning. Unless you're anti-America and you don't want us to win, you're on board with this. I can't make it. It is not any simple. I mean, it's just so simple to understand. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll end where I begin. The only people who disagree with this are either blind partisans or they're plagued with a chronic case of intellectual immaturity. They're not pro-America if they're not on board. Some of them don't realize this because of their blind partisanship or because they just don't get it intellectually. But this is the truth. It's a good thing that we're doing this. And Trump has never said they're going to be permanent. We have to get them all to come down and be reciprocal, and that's the end game. And that's what's beginning to happen because they're coming to the table. All right. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, have a great, great weekend coming up. Don't forget, DougBillings.us. If you like the show, please share it. Share this link. Share it out to your friends on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever you find it, on Rumble. And please, again, prayerfully consider supporting over on DougBillings.us this program. We're just asking $5 a month recurring donation. You can set it up all over there. DougBillings.us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in this thing together. Believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, for the Republic. God bless you. Cheers.